It's August 19th, 2024. I am at Joel Pearl, and it's time to get in the weeds. The weekend is over, and now we begin the busy times. Jeremy Lambert is here. He's always busy, so the times, they are never changing. How are you doing this morning, buddy?
I was about to say, what do you mean the busy times? There is no non-busy times for me. So just there's busy and busier, and we got busier this weekend.
Busier? Well, I mean, this past weekend was okay, right?
Well, this upcoming weekend is busier. This past weekend was busy.
Yes, this coming weekend, I guess that is. Do we call it? When does it become this coming weekend? Is it Monday, or is it like midway through the week leading into that following weekend? When do we mention when the next weekend is?
I assume Monday. You mentioned when the next weekend is, because
That's
Monday is the start of a new week.
Well, like when people say like this weekend, and then they can either jump into the past tense where they're talking about what they did this past weekend, which is what I would say this past weekend, or they can say this weekend I am going to blah 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 blah. So like, when do you start making that? When do you start making that up in your mind?
You say this past weekend if you're talking about the past tense, or you'd say this weekend I'm going if you're talking about the future tense, Joel.
But the thing about that is people are reminding us they woke up for this. This is the best part of your weekend then. Or maybe last weekend. I don't know. That's the problem. That's what we're trying to get to the bottom of. You say, this weekend I went to the library. Whereas maybe on Wednesday, I might say this past weekend I went to the library. Whereas this coming weekend, that's the next one. This is a grammar lesson at this point. This is just a lesson in speech. Are we professionals now?
I already have to deal with people who keep using active and passive tone in the way that they do stuff. I don't want to really have this conversation right now. I already have to deal with this enough, Joel.
I didn't even think about that. That's why I'm cracking up so much. Oh, Jeremy, how was your weekend for real, though? It was not a busy weekend wrestling-wise, except for a couple of shows. But how'd you make off for the weekend? Did you enjoy some downtime?
G1. There was the G1 finals and semifinals technically as well. We had a great AAA Mania show that you could watch for free because they were dumb. And if you just kept the pre-show on the whole time, they forgot to turn the pre-show off. So if you watch the AAA pre-show, you just got to watch the whole show for free because they didn't cut off the stream at the end of the pre-show. Oh, just watch it on YouTube. So there was AAA. There were some GCW shows. There was a lot going on, as always, Joel. As always, there was Collision.
Well, Collision, SmackDown, the shows you just mentioned, but like you're not watching literally everything in one go. Sometimes you can get out for a day or an afternoon, spend some time with the 27 children.
We did a little bit of that. I'm trying to think of what we actually did. I can't remember anything. I'm sure stuff happened. We did stuff. Asking me to remember is a fool's errand.
Monday morning, broken, and no more learning things is what I've been told.
I watched Love is Blind, the UK version.
You really do turn off your brain when you watch TV.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to watch anything that makes me think. Are you kidding me? One of the kids comes in as we were watching Love is Blind last night. And like, what are you watching? We're just like, nothing. Just boring stuff. They're like, well, why do you watch it if it's boring? I was like, quit asking questions, kids. Stop it. Stop asking all these questions.
Just give them some vodka, right?
Yeah. Like, why do you watch if it's boring? Like, it's not really that boring. We're just basically giving you this answer so you stop bugging us and we can finish watching our show. And then it's like, it's not boring, but it's mindless. You just turn your brain off. You don't have to think when you watch these idiots try to fall in love.
They don't use the internet like normal people to fall in love. Using reality television to fall in love, I feel like not the way to do it. But who am I?
But it makes for great TV. It's fun. It's fun to watch.
I guess. Could be. It is what it is.
This is where my joke comes from, Joel. If you see my little headline banner there, who is the coolest person at the hospital. You know the answer?
I can't tell you I do.
It's the ultrasound guy.
Go on.
Who is the second coolest person if the ultrasound guy is not there?
Oh,
It's the hip replacement guy.
okay. Does this go deeper?
Nope.
Is there an explanation of the joke? I'm confused.
This was the joke that was told on Love is Blind UK. I didn't understand it. I thought I was an idiot. The wife didn't understand it. Apparently, you don't understand it. Doesn't seem like people in our chat.
There's one person laughing at us saying I
Okay.
didn't get it.
I don't get it. Please, like, somebody give advice. Oh, bro is just giving you advice. I don't know. I don't get it.
Oh,
The
hip.
Oh, ultrasound. Oh, all right.
That's good. We are old and not with it.
No, clearly not.
Wait, hold on. When they heard the joke, did anyone laugh?
Well, you know, the Love is Blind, you're just in the pods. So it's just you and one other person. So like she kind of laughed, I think.
Oh,
I'm not sure she got it either.
Yeah, she did the polite laughter, the making don't hurt your ego.
Yeah, so it's apparently like a sound person. See, I didn't think of like ultrasound as in you're a sound person because we don't really use that vernacular in America, but this was UK, so maybe it is a little bit funnier in the UK. But thank you for explaining it because I certainly did not understand it. Clearly, Joel didn't understand it either. But I'm glad that we now have evidence. I don't think evidence is the right word, but we now have clarity in this show. Clarity on the joke, I should say.
Will that make me watch Love is Blind UK? No, it probably won't. There are a lot of things I don't watch because it is a very dumb show. I try to find new things to watch and then I do, and then I just don't watch them. You know, it's when like everyone's saying, oh, you got to watch this, you got to watch that. I'm like, yeah, I'll get to that. And then I wait until nobody talks about it anymore. I'm like, I'm going to watch this show nobody talks about anymore. Does that make me a hipster? It might.
I don't think you do that at all. I don't think you watch TV, Joel.
No, what do I do?
No, sleep, allegedly drink a bunch of Diet Coke.
I can do those things well, not the sleeping. I can do the latter can be done while watching television.
Hold up. Watch Love is Blind Brazil season 4 was all previously married people with kids. Ooh. But see, here's the issue with that. Is it like dubbed? Because I don't always like watching the dubbed stuff. It's not like bad.
It's just more reading for you.
Well, it's dubbed.
Oh, you mean vocal dub? Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not reading.
That's extra dumb.
It's fine. It just throws me off. Like that's why the UK is fine. It's just like dealing with accents and like so it is the dubs. I don't mind the subs. I'll read it if I have to, but the dubbing can get a little bit weird. We did watch one show. I think it was the Ultimatum, and it was not the US version. It was the dubbed version. I don't remember. Maybe it was like France or something. That was good series. Maybe we'll have to watch this Love is Blind Brazil and just have to put up with the dubbing of they got a bunch of Love is Blinds now.
You might have to do the subs. You might just have to read it and you'll get the full context.
No, I'm not doing that. That's way too much work.
It's funny because I've had this conversation with my wife before. The idea of listening to podcasts, people might know, they've heard me talk about it before. I listen on like 2.25 speed when it comes to podcasts. So I listen to stuff at very quick speeds. People are now doing that with television. Have you seen that? Because I don't think I could do that. Watching TV at like 1.5 or even 2x speeds, that feels excessive to me.
Yeah, I don't know about television doing that. That seems a little weird.
Like it took me a while with my wife to do the bumping up the speeds on a podcast because she did that. And then I started doing that and she was like, see, it's much better. And I'm like, yeah, now I've pushed it a little too far. So I listen to things at stupid speeds and I listen back to our show and I'm like, am I speaking too fast? Because I speak faster than the people who normally speak on a podcast at regular speed when I listen at 2.25 speed. Anyway,
I get annoyed listening to like
To me, I get it.
speed. Well, yeah, but I get it at like regular speed podcast. I like it hurts me to do that. I won't listen live. I'll, delay it for 5 minutes if I have to, just so I can speed it up. Like when I listen to some stuff live, just because like it might be part of what I'm doing, I'm like, oh, this sucks. When what was the worst one? When Bully Ray, no offense to Bully Ray, but Bully Ray after the Shane McMahon meeting, he teased, he did Dynamite After Dark, Busted Open After Dark, and he's like, I got a statement from Shane McMahon, and he commented on the meeting. And like it's an hour-long show from 10 to 11. Of course, he doesn't just give this statement right off the top of the show. No, he's got to like tease it and set it up and blah, 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 blah. So he finally did it at like 10:35 or something. And I listened to this whole thing because I was trying to wait for the statement and everything. Listening to that like real time was painful. Absolutely painful. It's not a knock on Bully Ray. It's literally no matter who would have done it, I would have probably not been a fan of it. But the fact that it was like one person, like it was just him, and he's just reviewing Dynamite. Like I don't give a fuck what Bully Ray thinks about Dynamite. No offense, but like I don't give a fuck what I think about Dynamite. So I certainly don't care about what Bully Ray thinks. It was like just painful to listen to him like review Dynamite while I'm waiting for him to give this Shane McMahon statement.
Yeah, I can't think of the last time I listened to a podcast at 1x, unless it's live and I've caught up to it. That's always the more frustrating stuff. People are talking about like watching YouTube at 2x. I've done that. It depends on the video. It depends on the content, or I'll scrub. I do a lot of like 5-second scrubs. It depends on what the content is. But like if I watch a video gamer that's doing a speed run or anything like that, yeah, depending on what it is, I'll just kind of move through it. But no, podcasts, I will listen at 2.25 and just go through it. But like when you're transcribing, you'll bump it up a little bit still, unless it's live, obviously.
Yeah.
When you're stuck. Yeah.
No, I bump it up all the time. I have it definitely bumped up. And then, I use a transcribing tool to where I can just one click pause it. I don't have to like use my mouse or anything. I just hit the escape key and it pauses automatically. And then I hit the escape key to restart it again, but it skips back like half a second. So that way I don't actually like lose anything. And it's a really good tool that I use. But yeah, I do even live stuff. Like I said, so like Sean's already spoiled it. It comes out today. Sean interviewed Bryan Danielson and I listened to it live, but I started it. The interview started at noon yesterday. I started it at about like 12:05. And that way, but regardless, like I already knew I was going to be a lot of stopping and starting because I was transcribing the whole thing. So it's not like I was just listening of like, oh, what key moments can I pick out to transcribe? I was going to have to do the whole thing regardless. But I still started it like a couple minutes late just so I can immediately get the start on like at least 1.5 to 2 speeds. So a lot of times I'll listen at 2 speed and work on other stuff. And then I'll just like listen for keywords or what the question is. And then I'll mark it, note it, and then go back and then start transcribing and stuff. That's how I get so much done because I'm basically listening to an interview for stuff that I can pick out to do news while also writing a bunch of news.
Someone listening to us at 0.5.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that sounds bad.
That sounds terrible.
Do we sound? Zeno, I was saying humanity's attention span is screwed, and that's a whole other podcast and a whole other can of worms. And unfortunately, it's factual. There's so many things that I've listened to over the last year about attention spans and about how, like, especially with kids, right? Having a kid and trying to navigate that world of screen time versus no screen time. And, I talked about it here, how we don't really do screens much at all. This weekend was probably the first time where I actively saw this from my kid, where we offered a screen. He says yes. He's watching his Elmo on the tablet on the couch. It's an L-shaped couch. He's sitting in the corner part of it. And so Elmo is on one side, and then he's got a pad and paper that he can like draw in. He spent more time drawing than he did watching Elmo. That was that was a moment for me. I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere here. But yeah, little things like that. I pay attention to the screen time stuff all the time. I'll put it like this. One of the things that made, just bringing this back to wrestling, one of the things that took away from wrestling for so long, remember, was all the jump cuts, right? All the cut. And that drove all of us absolutely bonkers. We hated it. And now more long shots have been introduced. More people are recognizing it. And I think to a certain degree in wrestling, people are kind of more interested in watching the show and not just passively, paying attention to it on the side. I think more people can watch it and enjoy some of the actual the filming of it, if you will. The it's not cinematography, because now we're getting into the cinema, but like the way it's blocked, the way that it looks. I think wrestling has come a long way in a very short time in terms of its presentation, and I appreciate that, because it makes the show much more digestible. People are saying child psychologist troll pro. Well, my wife's more of that than I am, and she's not officially that. So there you go. But yeah, wrestling. Here it is. We brought it back around.
Watched SmackDown. I guess we're going to talk about SmackDown here in a second. But
before we do, I'm going to cut you off so I can tell them to leave a thumbs up on the video. Because I got to do that. You got to do the thumbs up. Got to cut you off to do the thumbs up with the fireworks and the whole thing. Faster fireworks than ever, because our attention span's gone. But your thumbs up are forever. And subscribe to us here at the channel, Fightful Overbooked. If you haven't already, what's wrong with you? I know what's wrong with you, but instead of telling us, just leave the subscription. We'll diagnose it later. It's fine. It's a healthy system. And if you want, you can donate a super chat any amount, get your question or statement read on the air. If your question is about what's wrong with you, unfortunately, we don't know the answer, but we can make one up. All you got to do is donate a super chat, and we'll appreciate you even further. SmackDown.
So Roman Reigns comes out. I'm watching with the kids. We all throw our ones up as Roman Reigns comes out. I took a photo and I sent it to Jensen. The wife did. The wife took a photo and sent it to Jensen. Of just how I've corrupted these children to put the ones up when Roman Reigns enters. That's all I got from SmackDown. I don't know what else happens. All the biggest takeaway I have: we put your ones up when old Roman comes out now.
That's what you do. You're here to come on. If you're not acknowledging your tribal chief, your original tribal chief, your OTC over-the-counter tribal chief, then what are we doing? Pharmacist Roman Reigns.
He rules so
much. He doesn't want no WWE championships. There are more things important in life than that. He's a tribal chief.
Why are people mad about this? Why are people like, oh, he's going after the Ulafala? Okay, so
I think it's because going back to my psychologist gimmick, as I have been told, I think a lot of people look at wrestling as one thing. It is binary and there's nothing outside of wrestling can exist. So as a result, the titles are the only important thing in the wrestling box. And if you don't go for the title, then you're stuck. You have absolutely nothing else to live for in the wrestling ring. However, and by the way, like traditionally in wrestling, that's what you want. That has been the presentation of wrestling forever, is that you are a wrestler going after a title to call yourself the best. However, in this case, this is a family affair. Therefore, you are trying to be the best at the top of your family in a story that's been told, literally called the Bloodline Saga, where your family dictates the chiefdom. And the chief right now is either Solo, or it's the guy he took it from, or it's the guy from 1999 who said Rudy Poo a lot. So one of those three, or it's one of the tag champions right now, or it's the guy who wears a walking boot. I see you, Jacob Fatu.
So I've seen people, Will McLean says that they basically wasted a year after Roman beat Cody at Mania in LA. Could have done this last year. I saw Phil Lindsay. He kind of mentioned the same thing. If Cody had won at WrestleMania 39, they could have done all this as well. Are we just going to ignore that The Rock came back for WrestleMania 40 and it's a completely different story? Like, you can't ignore that The Rock was part of WrestleMania 40 and helped set up a lot of this. If Roman loses at WrestleMania 39, we don't know if The Rock returns for WrestleMania 40. We don't know what becomes out of WrestleMania 39. One, I don't think Solo was ready for the spot. Granted, I don't think they did a great job between 39 and 40 to set him up. They gave him the win against John Cena, but they didn't follow up too great. We don't know if they had Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu coming in at this point. Like, it's very it seems a little short-sighted to just say, oh, they could have done this after WrestleMania 39 and made it all about the Ulafala. All right, but are we getting The Rock as part of it? Are we getting the greatest wrestler alive, Tonga Loa, as part of it? Are we getting Tama Tonga? Are we getting Jacob Fatu? We didn't even have like the Usos turn and everything. Like, we don't know what would have been after WrestleMania 39 had Cody just won the title on that night, and then Roman is off television, and who knows how they set this up. I guess it's easy to look back and be like, oh, see, they could have just made it about the Ulafala after 39 and everything would have been just fine. It's like, I don't know. And I think the other thing about this is it's not like Cody was downgraded in that year. That was the concern. And that was like, I understand that after 39, everyone was concerned of, oh, they missed out on the moment. They missed out on the moment, and Cody's not going to be as hot. Guess what? He was just as hot at WrestleMania 40. He was so hot that The Rock came in, and people were like, we want Cody. That's how hot Cody got going into WrestleMania 40. I think that there's some revisionist history of, oh, they could have just done all this at 39. Cody won. They could have just done the Roman Ulafala story, and it would have been the same. I don't think that's very fair to say. I think that ignores some pretty key points that have happened leading up to 40 and after 40.
What's interesting and funny to me is, as you mentioned this, you said, would Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, would they have been brought in, or Jacob Fatu, would they have been brought in after 39? And the answer was no, because they were in that hiring freeze for so long as well, and all the stuff with Vince was going on as we got into the latter half of that year. So no, you wouldn't have seen them because a lot of people got held off on or didn't come in. Jay White's a good example of that outside of this whole bloodline stuff. Jay White was a guy that there was a lot of talk he could have gone to WWE, but hiring freezes and other circumstances, he decided on AEW. That's just one example of outside of the bloodline. I'm not saying it was only him. But yeah, then The Rock shows up and everything heats up with Cody, and Cody continues to heat up, and it did come around. And listen, after WrestleMania, you're right. People were down on Cody because they were so down on him losing, which was what the story was about. It wasn't perfect all the time, far from it, but they brought it around to a place where it became interesting. They brought it around to a spot where everyone got heated up because of it. And I always go back to WrestleMania 39, that press conference. Roman Reigns says, this story is about elevating my family. And that's what we're still doing. Feel how you feel about Solo. Solo's not there to be 100% the character he portrays. There's supposed to be doubt in there. That is the Solo character. He took on the mantle too early, and it's going to eat him from the outside because of the people that he brought in. The dogs are going to turn on him. They are going to attack him. That's the way the story goes. Roman is there now to basically take back what's his and inevitably have people turn on him, on Solo. There's a good story here. And then going back to Phil Lindsay, he mentioned that people get angry about storylines when they don't go the way that they fantasy booked them. And I think he makes a very good point when he mentions that people tend to get angry when the thing they wanted to happen didn't happen, instead of letting the story take place the way that the people who are actually supposed to be telling the story are telling the story. And that's kind of that's a big thing in wrestling, is when your fantasy booking doesn't happen, people just kind of get down on the product because they're not doing the thing I would have done. And going back to Phil, that thing I would have done, quote unquote, is my guy wins all the time. And that's just not fun. That's not interesting. You had to have Cody lose because he had to go on that ride. And so when Cody loses at 39, he comes around and he wins at 40. And they did it in a way that it was silly, it was stupid, but it was their own like WrestleMania love letter. And now the story continues with the bloodline. Whereas Cody, I know you troll Jensen about it, but Cody becomes, the de facto number 2 because Roman has made his return. And yes, the WWE Championship is not the top spot on SmackDown right now, but I think sooner than later they are going to separate Cody and Roman and then have the two stories, become far enough apart that they're not going to be in contention with each other.
I don't want to speak for everybody, but I saw some of this. I think people were upset. I don't know if upset's the right word. I think people are looking at this we didn't need Cody to lose at 39. They could have done all this after 39 with the Ulafala. But basically their point is Cody could have been the champion, and they feel this is overshadowing Cody being the champion, Ulafala. Wouldn't that have been the exact same scenario if he just lost at 30, or if he won at 39 and the Ulafala was the thing and Roman was the babyface? I think that's what people seem to be upset about is, see, it's always been about the Ulafala for Roman, so he didn't need the title for the extra year. And then they tie it into feeling like it's bigger than Cody. But you're looking at the same exact scenario. If he wins at 39, it's still, okay, it's about the Ulafala, and they're going to place that as something bigger than the title. So I don't know. I'm not sure what people are arguing with when it comes to this outside of Cody should have won. See, we could have done this a year ago, but I think that just ignores some pretty big points in the story if you think that they could have pulled this off in the same way a year ago.
Also, I wouldn't have, I'm seeing in the chat, they could have moved Cody and Roman off, onto separate brands after WrestleMania 39. No, I don't think they should have, because you still had Cody trying to get his revenge for Solo screwing him after 39. And you could have done it, but it was, Cody was on Raw after 39. That's true. Then he won the thing. And they went to SmackDown.
If it's Brock after 39.
Oh, that was awful. You're right. Yeah, thanks for putting me out there.
But that's what that was the argument then. That was the argument then after 39. It was like, oh, they could have done the same Brock feud with the title. That would have been still the argument, I guess, is you just do the Brock feud. But then Roman, of course, does the Ulafala stuff. And does that overshadow Cody and Brock?
Someone in the chat mentioned the Raw after WrestleMania 39. That is my biggest what if in the whole Vince McMahon comes back saga. Because there were such high hopes for that WrestleMania, that Raw after WrestleMania itself, especially night one, was so good. And people were so hyped after that. The storytelling, the amount of stuff they could have done, and then that monstrosity of a Raw after 39. Whew, that was my what if. Because I know a lot of people, myself included, were actually looking forward to a Raw after Mania for once in a long time.
I think it's tough to go back and say that Cody should have won the title at 39 and they made the wrong call when things have, for the most part, worked out really well since then. And I'm not talking about just Cody. Cody got his moment. It's not like they missed the moment at 39 and never got back around to it. He got it at 40, right? Then I know people didn't like the World Heavyweight title when it became a thing. I was probably one of them, I'm sure. But Seth did a good job with it. McIntyre won it for 2 seconds. They built Priest with it. Now Gunther has it. It's become kind of a meaningful second title or the top title on Raw. The Rock stuff, I simply can't ignore because there's no guarantee The Rock comes in for 40 and does everything that he does. So that's the biggest thing is that worked out big time in their favor, that they got The Rock for all this. And they might have they're going to get more out of The Rock, hopefully, if they come into 41. I mean, maybe they lucked into some of this, but Jason saying people could have burned out on Cody easily but they didn't. That's the thing. We have evidence that they didn't. So it's very easy to say like, oh, they could have. But again, we have the evidence of what happened between 39 and 40. Things got hotter during that time period. So it's tough for me to be like, oh, they should have done this at WrestleMania 39 with Cody, and then they could have just done the same Roman story if he lost at 39 with the Ula Fala, because there's no guarantee that they could have done the same storyline with Roman after 39. Like we just talked about it of, do you have Tama Tonga? Do you have Tonga Loa? Do you have Jacob Fatu? We don't know. We don't know if they get them. Do they split the Usos? The Usos are still together after 39. Like they could have started to do a little bit of a split. Does Solo, was he ready for that spot after 39? I don't know. So there's evidence that things really worked between 39 and 40 and then to now. Whereas if we try to go back and rewrite, oh, does Cody win at 39? What happens? We don't know how that's going to work. We don't know how that plays out. Well, maybe it could have been great. Again, this is not me saying like they made the wrong choice in that. Because at the time at 39, it seemed like the wrong choice. It really did. The night after WrestleMania 39, it felt like, oh, I don't know if you're going to get that again. But they did. Credit to them. They did. So I have a hard time being like, yeah, they missed the boat at 39 when everything that played out from 39 to 40 was really good stuff and the business got hotter.
It's very funny, watching the different reactions and knowing that these aren't like, I say this with respect because we're in the same boat. Like they don't care about us, and I don't mean that in like the most.
What are you talking about? Triple H is scrolling on Twitter.
That's right. He's gonna stop that shit now that it's out because now people are just gonna tag him incessantly. But like, we're not the people that WWE would care about in the fan space because I'm looking at chats here of people that are commenting and saying they feel Cody's boring or that Cody was going to fizzle out when he came out was something that was reading. Not that person said, as Sean was saying, that people have been saying that they will burn out. People will burn out on Cody after he came back to WWE, and that's not the case. I mean, look at the lineups. Look at the popularity. Look at the fanatics. This was a really interesting kind of case study of handling or just someone's popularity making a mishandled situation okay for the star. Excuse me, I had to cough. Cody comes in, he does the Fanatics signing. He had to leave, and I think he was late coming in. Was that what it was? He was late coming in, and he had a hard out because he had to get to the house show. Correct me if I'm wrong on the timeline here.
Yeah, he did the house show at Florida on Saturday, came into New York on Sunday, and went back to do the house show in Florida on Sunday night.
Yeah, so he had a hard out to go to Fort Myers, Florida to get out and do the house show. And no fan, as a result, was upset that Cody had to leave. They all understood that Cody couldn't stay and that they couldn't necessarily meet, whatever, do the package that they paid for. What they were upset with was how Fanatics, or just the staff who were working the Fanatics Fest, how they handled Cody leaving and the things. There was just a lot of miscommunication at that point. But because Cody is so well liked and loved by those fans, they didn't care that they were upset that they couldn't meet Cody, but they weren't like, oh, I'm never gonna like Cody again, he screwed us. No, they know that the goodwill that's been built up by a guy like Cody, who goes out every single week into the fans and signs the stuff, and he does all the things, and he's very open and he's very accessible. They didn't get upset with him about that. They were rightfully so upset with the coordinators of the event, and they issued refunds for those who didn't get to meet Cody. Like, they made it right. But in the moment, it was okay. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's with Cody. No, the people haven't burnt out on Cody. Fan A, which is what WWE loves, the fans who they buy everything, they go to every show, they don't hate what's going on because they take it as entertainment. It's like watching Love Is Blind UK for them. That's all it is. And they just sit and they passively watch it, or they actively cheer for who they cheer. Like they take in the show. They love those people, and that's okay. And then people like us who get on the internet and we talk about what's, what we love, what we don't love, our opinions are welcome, but they're not necessarily taken as seriously or as valued as the people who are letting them do their job. And then there's option C, which is like the people who shit on everything. And you're just like, those people aren't real, so forget about them. Don't worry about those people. But like we fall into category B, which they've always called us the vocal minority. And for a while, I didn't believe that, but I do believe that. And there's a difference between us as the vocal minority, quote unquote, and whatever people like to call the IWC. And I know Sean has mentioned this before. Everybody has the internet. There is no internet wrestling community. It is now just wrestling fans on the internet. We're all together in this. That's why I don't lump in this whole IWC. I think IWC is now used as like this catch-all term for people you don't like or people who have ideas that you don't agree with. WWE doesn't care about those unless you're Triple H and you're scrolling through Raw. We've been through this. But my point is, we're not important to those in the presentation. Therefore, Cody not winning at 39 didn't matter what we thought, because the crowd still came out in droves for the rest of that year leading up to WrestleMania 40 and beyond. And that's how it works in WWE land and in AEW to a certain degree. They want fans who are going to love the show. They want fans who are going to go and enjoy the product and have fun at the shows. And that's not saying that we don't when we go, but we take in the product differently than other people, because our job has become to critique and talk about it.
Ken Bruno brings up, let's get back to what's happening on television. Bruno says, the only reasonable criticism I can see is they don't have a ton of heels for Cody right now, but they'll get there. I've said this before, is they don't have a whole lot of heels. That's why they're doing him and Kevin Owens. Like, their babyface side is stacked. Their heel side ain't there. But let's go back to 39. Okay, they could have done the feud with Brock, but Brock wasn't going to be there every single time. Like, they would have done a 3-match series with Brock, but Brock beat him in the first one, right? Or did Cody win the first one? It was WrestleMania Backlash, or whatever the hell they called that dumb show. Cody might have won that, and then Brock won the second one. He made him pass out to the Kimura, and then Cody won the last one at SummerSlam. So do you think like Brock wins the title at the second one? I think that was the Saudi show. Cody won, or Brock won in Saudi, if I remember correctly. I could be remembering all of this.
Brock beat Cody by referee's decision at Saudi.
Yeah.
SummerSlam was after that. Cody won, and before that, Brock won the first one. That was Backlash in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. So I was right.
Yeah.
So let's say they do a 3-match series. Okay, so was Brock winning the title in Saudi, and then Cody wins it back at SummerSlam? Are you guys happy with that? And then look at, like, what is the heel roster after WrestleMania 39? Gunther's there. All right. But Gunther's the Intercontinental Champion. He's not going to move up to face Cody at this point because he's still the Intercontinental Champion. Judgment Day ain't the Judgment Day we eventually saw with Damian Priest and Finn Balor. Balor just lost to Edge in Hell in a Cell. That group was kind of DOA last year at WrestleMania. Like, Edge just nuked them. They were done. Who else was a top heel that feuds with Cody coming out of WrestleMania 39? Austin Theory? Yeah, put him. I know he just beat Cena, but it's not like they had a ton of hot heels for Cody coming out of 39 either. So again, if you're going to do like this kind of revisionist history sort of stuff of like, oh, Cody should have won at 39. All right, what's he doing then? You can do the Brock feud, fine. But then you're basically saying Cody loses the title 2 months after winning it to Brock, unless he's going to beat Brock 3 straight times, and that probably ain't happening. Or he's going to face Brock one time, beat him, Brock goes off away for a little while, maybe comes back, they do a SummerSlam match. All right, but then who's he feuding with in the meantime? And people like to throw ideas of this should have happened, but then there's no, I always say this when it comes to, I like to use the NBA All-Star Game example. Oh, this person should have been in the All-Star Game. This person was snubbed. Okay, who are you taking out? If you're going to put something in, You got to take something out. If you're going to fantasy book something, give me something concrete and tell me how this could have played out. And then I'm more willing to listen to it. But if you're just going to say, see, this all could have happened last year. All right, explain to me how. Explain to me what they could have done last year.
And the answer is usually, I don't know, just make it happen. Or they booked the show. That's always my favorite. No, but you had the idea, but they booked the show. Yeah, and you're bringing up the good points. You've got a very different outcome from 39 to 40. And I do think, again, that this has been a much better. Things have played out a lot better now than I think they would have if you had Cody win at 39. I think that having Cody suffer that first great big loss, that really catapulted him further when he had that big emotional moment at 40 and everything that came with it. Yeah, just thinking about that moment at 40 was huge for a lot of people. So we fast forward to this past Friday night while Cody and Kevin Owens are doing what they're doing. Roman Reigns comes out at the end of the night and confronts Solo Sikoa, says he's gonna, he doesn't say it, he's gonna take back that Ulafala. He beats the shit out of Solo. He gets the Ulafala, tosses the tag team title to the side. Moment that a lot of people were talking about. It's worth more than the titles. All right, sure, maybe it is. Maybe it was planned. Maybe in the moment Roman was like, "Wah," because it's the tag titles. Instead, grabs the Ulafala, puts it on, has that moment of euphoria, bliss, and there's a lot in that moment too that happens inside and outside of just the reaction in the ring. And then Jacob Fatu comes in. We finally get that interaction, and then gets Roman gets taken out, and the Ulafala gets returned to Solo Sikoa to end the show. This was good stuff, in my opinion. The story is going in the right direction. I'm surprised that they had Jacob Fatu come back this week, but they had also shown the graphic earlier in the night about the tag team title match, and Fatu's name was on it and his face was on it. And I said, all right, well, I guess he's coming back for this match. Yeah, but I like where this is, because I like that this storyline can now be contained in its own world where it doesn't need a title wrapped up in it. And this is similar to the CM Punk and Drew McIntyre story, which I know people have already made their jokes about it. But again, this is a story that never needed a title because it's personal. And that's what the Bloodline story is. It has now become personal. It was personal before, but now it's over the leadership and just the leadership of your people. It is about family dynamics. And there's some really, really great stuff happening in those family dynamics that are playing out on screen. And to have Roman back, finally getting cheered, finally getting the reactions that, the last regime wanted so much for him. There's a lot of catharsis that goes on with this. Of course, yeah. Jacob Fatu yelling, "I love you, Solo," is always funny. Oh, no, I love you, Solo. No, this is good. I want your reaction to this from Friday nights.
Jacob Fatu's the other guy. Roman's the guy. Jacob Fatu's the other guy.
And that's why they kept them apart. And it's been fine. Like I said, I'm surprised that they brought them back together so quickly.
Oh, you can only do. He just beats up Solo and takes the thing immediately. They know. They're telling you they know Jacob Fatu is that other guy. You don't do this injury angle and take him off TV so he's not just taken out at first week. If you don't believe in this guy as being your next top guy, the way Roman sold for him as well, like Roman knows that this is the other guy right here. He knows he's going to make some money with Jacob Fatu. It was good stuff. It was good stuff. And, the Ulafala's got all the power. I'm of the belief that WWE and any wrestling company really, I kind of jokingly tweeted of like, the top stories in wrestling are about an Ulafala, a bracelet, a Dominic, a retirement, real cinema, and a person not wanting to do a move. Now, of course, there's titles mixed in. 4 of those feuds have a title also as part of it. But titles are a lot of times an accessory to the feud. Yeah, sure. Sometimes it is about the title, and it is like, I want to be the best. I want to win this title. But it's an accessory to help people understand sort of what the stake is when it's not actually the stake. And that's sort of what the Ulafala is. It's the accessory to help people understand what the power of the bloodline means. Without necessarily, you don't actually need the Ulafala there, but it gives people a nice visual representation. Oh, he has this. He's the guy. Even if he doesn't have this, he's the guy. But now people can see it. And this is sort of what CM Punk was saying of like the bracelet. It's not really about the bracelet. It's about the names on the bracelet and what they represent. But the bracelet gives somebody something to latch onto. And of course, people are now like, all this stupid. Why is it all about a bracelet? But it gives people something to latch onto of like, oh, this is what the bracelet actually represents. It's the visual representation. Same thing with titles elsewhere. The story with Danielson and Swerve is about the retirement. Yes, the title is in play. He wants to win the title. But the title is the visual representation of what Danielson can win. If he doesn't win, okay, he's got to retire.
Yeah. There are times in wrestling when the title is the feature, like you said, and there are times in wrestling when the title is the prop. And in the Cody, okay, so fine, hold on. Cody and KO, feature or prop, the WWE Championship?
I think it's the feature.
I'm inclined to agree because there is story in there. There's always a story with a title feud or with the feud. There should be. When you're going into a pay-per-view, there's always a feud, there's always a story. I only ask this because the story has been KO was offered the title shot. KO doesn't think he deserves the title shot. KO is basically finding out slowly but surely that, yeah, no, he maybe does deserve his title shot, or that he's afraid of the things that he is going to do to Cody when he's given that title shot, or when he finally gets the bell rings and they say it's the title's on the line. There's a story in there, and I guess the title becomes the feature at that point, which is what Cody wants as a champion. He wants the title to be above all else. He wants it to be the most important thing that he carries in his career, and he's doing that. So someone starts getting RKO'd out of nowhere. It's true, but that's why I ask, is because there's a feature and there is a prop, and some stories are the latter. Not going to get into that. And some stories are one, some stories are the other, and some stories are completely worthless and out of the line. But I just want to ask you.
Did you know RKO could be Rhodes Kevin Owens? It could also be the stable name of Rhodes, Kevin, and Orton. Like RKO could stand for a whole lot of things in this story.
Did you know that Relic spelled backwards is killer?
It is not, I don't know, funny is the right word, but RKO is literally the entire story of Randy, Kevin, and Cody. It's RKO.
I used to call it the chili necklace till I found out that it's the Ulafala, and then I had respect for the Tonga culture, so for the Samoan culture, because it did look like a bunch of chilies, and then you found out that it's actual like beaded the red. I forget what they're called. Like they were actually given the actual red pieces are named something, and they mentioned it on the broadcast, but someone who paid attention knows for sure. The actual garment or whatever the actual thing that you put around your neck, that's the Ulafala, but the actual red chili looking things are like, it's a seed of some sorts, but I can't remember what it was. Anyway. What else from SmackDown? I mean, are we basically at this point just laying cards on the table? Roman Reigns doesn't give a shit about the title right now. He doesn't care. The only title he cares about is Tribal Chief, walking around with OTC, original Tribal Chief, on his person, and the WWE title is not as important to him right now.
Well, he cares about the title. I mean, he motioned to Cody that, I'm coming after that title at some point. But it's always been for Roman, the family is the bigger thing. And Cody fucked over, or not Cody, sorry, Solo fucked over his family. Solo took out Jimmy. I mean, I know Roman abused Jimmy, but Solo took it a step further. Solo took out Heyman. Now that's the biggest shot to me, is when he took out Heyman, when he disobeyed the tribal chief. and he took out the wise man. He brought in these new people who maybe Roman didn't approve of. It is all, it's always been there for Roman, that the family, you mentioned it yourself, Joel, like this is all about elevating the family. Like that's been the thing for Roman, is the family has been the most important thing, even above the title. The title, yeah, gave him a lot of power within WWE, but the family is what he was always focused on. And so Solo has now gone against that. So yeah, Roman is out to avenge his family. I don't put this on Roman of always overshadowing Cody. This is when you just got to do a better job with Cody and make that title mean a little something more. And this is where they haven't, of giving Cody some real heels that feel credible. I mean, AJ didn't feel super credible going into that feud. They did their best with that, but then you gave him Logan Paul, and he was already the United States champion. It's like, well, you're not going to double champ Logan here. And now he's facing Kevin, which people like. It's going to be a good match. They're doing their best with it, but Kevin's a babyface. Like he's not this big top challenger. Like it doesn't feel like this big credible heel to Cody that he needs. And that's where, WWE's hurt Cody with this run. People, for some reason, they're going to blame Roman for this. And it's like, well, Roman put in 4 years of work as the heel champion to get to this point, to return to where he's now the top babyface. And he built up the bloodline story and built Solo to this point, and built the Tongans, and built Jacob Fatu, and built them all to this point, to where now he's coming back to conquer it all. He's taking it all, not Solo Sikoa.
Pandan is for painted red. It's also known as screw pine. That is the that's what's on the Olafala. This is okay. Heyman. He gets taken out, like you said. That's a big injustice to the Roman, tribal chiefdom, the original bloodline. Is his return? What is his return? What does that look like? What is its importance? Because Heyman is, he's not physical, right? He's not a manager that gets physical anymore. He is a manager that comes and has a lot of facial expressions and speaks on the microphone, but in a match setting, he's there as an extra body at ringside. So what does he look like coming back? And do you bring him back at the next PLE when Roman has a match? Or is he just is an appearance on SmackDown? Is he just, remember when they introduced Heyman and Roman as a pair, and it was kind of camera pans out and there's Roman sitting next to Heyman? Do they do something similar like that, where they're interviewing Roman and the camera pans out and Heyman walks up and that's the reunion? Is that kind of how you do it? And it's kind of a callback, but it's not at the same time?
Paul Heyman spoke with Sam Roberts at Fanatics Fest and was talking about his return and everything, and how it's got to be meaningful. And it's got to, he set up, my return's going to set up a year of television. Like, that's a pretty big thing to say.
Bottom of the third. This is the same guy who told you in the bottom of the third, and he wasn't kidding. So we're still there.
The whole conversation, obviously people are going to pick headlines. They're going to read articles. Like, I listened to the whole conversation. And I know Paul Heyman is, I don't know if polarizing is the right word, but certainly various people have various opinions about Paul Heyman because he's been around for so long. So obviously you're going to just form various opinions about him. One thing about Heyman, though, is if he's allowed to, he's very meticulous with everything. And when he does these interviews, I've listened to a lot of Paul Heyman interviews. Paul Heyman, legitimately one of the worst interviews to transcribe. And I don't mean that as like a bad thing. I mean, for me, it is a bad thing. But he's one of the worst to transcribe because he'll throw in some big words. I don't like transcribing big words. He always uses full names. Listen to any Paul Heyman interview. Full names every single time. Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, Jey Uso. It's never the first name or the last. It is the full name every single time. So, but Paul Heyman, again, very meticulous in the details and stuff. So when he says my return is going to set up a year of television, I don't fully doubt him when he says we're only in the third inning of this full. So I don't fully doubt him when he says, again, if you listen to the full interview, he talks about like the little things that they do. Of Sam Roberts asked, do you do these things so you can call back to them? Or do you do these things and then a year from now you remember and then you can call back to them? He's like, no, they're in there for a reason. And he talked about the night after WrestleMania 40, the first SmackDown after WrestleMania 40, and talking about how they no longer have the locker room and wins and losses matter and losses have consequences, and losing the locker room was a consequence, and by orders of the tribal chief. And all that played out in the show with Jimmy getting taken out. And then by orders of the tribal chief, Solo Sikoa becomes all these little things. They actually pay attention to this stuff. And Heyman has done that throughout his entire career as like a booker and putting things together. That's why a lot of times the stuff that Heyman is involved in and the stuff he really cares about, because when he was paired with Cesaro, he didn't like that. Was just, hey, let's just do this, but you're actually with Brock, and it didn't make a whole lot of sense. The stuff he really sinks his teeth into, he definitely, they're detail oriented. Long way of saying, Paul Heyman answer way of saying, his return isn't going to just be, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. I am the wise man for the tribal chief. His return is going to be something where maybe Roman Reigns makes a phone call. Maybe Sami Zayn makes a phone call. Maybe the zoom out is Jey Uso and Sami Zayn there, and then there's Paul Heyman. It's going to be something, I don't want to say it's subtle, because there's not a whole lot of subtlety in any type of wrestling, even though people will try to tell you that there is. But it's going to be something almost minor and not boisterous to the live audience that sets up a lot of what they're going to be doing moving forward.
Maybe AI makes a phone call.
Allen Iverson, possibly.
That's true. Big Paul Heyman fan. Paul Heyman comes out. He says, like you mentioned, the Fanatics interview with Not Sam. When he comes back, he kicks in a year of storylines. First thing I thought about was he's going to join Solo. He's going to come back with Roman, but he's ultimately going to join Solo because that's going to bring back The Rock, and we're going to have Roman, Solo, Rock, whatever that combination is. Basically Roman Rock. Let's be honest. And for me, Heyman's on the side of Rock, because why would Roman need a mouthpiece at that point? Because when he was the bad guy, when he was the tribal chief, not the OTC, but like the tribal chief bloodline guy, he didn't speak other than saying acknowledge me. And he had that charisma. He could speak because he could say whatever he wanted. He was a bad guy. Feels like having Heyman as his mouthpiece, you don't need that. Heyman's beloved, but when he plays the character, he can be booed. And I think if he ends up going with Solo to start, then I think that helps Solo.
You can't put him with Solo after what Solo did to him.
You can, though, because you can say that you can find a way to tell that story. You can find a way. You can tell it was an elaborate plot, blah 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 blah. Like, you can figure out a way. Again, this isn't. I'm not thinking about how you get there right now, even though I just made fun about people saying they script the TV show. But like, you can find a way to do it. But Heyman coming in and being and eventually joining with Solo and therefore The Rock, to me that works more than just being with Roman again.
I think that's too cutesy. That's too elaborate. No.
Well, if he's kicking in a year of storylines, him just joining up with Roman doesn't kick off a year of story.
Yeah, people are gonna cheer. Like, the way they took out Heyman, you're not gonna boo Heyman off of this. Now he's gonna get cheered the same way Roman got cheered when he's coming back. Like, they're gonna cheer Heyman because of the way he got ousted. People didn't think they'd cheer Roman. Look how much Roman got cheered.
They knew Roman would get cheered after.
Okay, but Heyman's the same thing. Heyman's in the same boat because they made Solo Sikoa and everybody else such dicks and such assholes And it's like, oh yeah, we want to cheer for Roman Reigns now. Oh yeah, we want to cheer for Paul Heyman now.
Okay.
They're going to cheer Heyman if he's aligned with Roman.
So let me amend my statement. I'm not saying he comes in and immediately puts himself with Solo. Let's say he comes back in a week. Let's say we are getting to a bloodline War Games. Okay. That's the turn. That's when Heyman puts himself. He basically costs Roman's team at the end and sides with Solo, and then The Rock comes out. Rock paid him off, whatever it is. Because yes, Heyman's going to get cheered. Yes, he is beloved. Yes, there's that. But when you really get down to it, the presentation of Paul Heyman has been and always will be in the best way possible as a bad guy. This since the 2010s, since the SmackDown run, since the SmackDown 6 run, like with the Brock Lesnar introduction in 2002, like for the last 20 some odd years, which is wild to think about. This man's been in wrestling for nearly 40 years. But for the bulk of his presentation, he has been a bad guy manager. And he has to manage another bad guy, but he needs to come back as a babyface and align with Roman, start that whole thing, but then he's going to turn. It's almost inevitable to me.
Maybe The Rock is the key to this. Because if you tell the story of The Rock has acquired Heyman, then I'm a little bit more buying it. But the way Solo took out Heyman and the way he disrespected the family like that, I don't think they want to make that. I don't want to say all for naught, but very quickly forgotten if he just turns and aligns with Solo, even if The Rock is the reason why. Within 4 months, that happened in June. So June, July, August, September, November. Yeah, 4 months. You're just going to be like, oh, that beatdown. Don't worry about that. The Rock paid him off. The Rock paid off Heyman to align with Solo. Now he trusts Solo now. Dude, that table spot. Again, this is, maybe I'm buying what Paul Heyman's selling, but this is why he's been in the business this long, because he sold a lot of people a lot of shit. But the way he talked about it and the way he wants that stuff to be memorable, it doesn't feel like 4 months later, it's just going to be Paul Heyman's with Solo Sikoa 4 months after they put his ass through a table. Paul Heyman don't just take these bumps. This wasn't just, oh, get shoved over, that's it. This man got put through a fucking table.
Okay, but hear me out here. He does the thing. He does the table spot. He comes back. Yeah, it's 4 months later. He aligns with Solo at the end of it. But then at the end of WrestleMania, he screws The Rock and he's back with Roman.
No, what? Now you're doing way too many.
Bro.
Where's my trash can?
Just write down the Russo, because that's all I gave you right there.
I don't think I think the kids took it back. Which
bro.
That's unfortunate.
Anyway,
that idea is trash.
I know, that's why I pitched it. I'm glad to see that you're trash. Paul Big Show Heyman just turns every week. Going back to the idea of Cody and the title and what's important and what's not, and like the presentations and all that, I assume there's going to be some, and I could be wrong because it's January when this would happen, with the movement to Netflix and then USA for SmackDown. Would you do another draft and try to separate things out? Because I mean, I'd assume Netflix wants Roman.
I don't think you're going to do the draft immediately. Netflix probably does want Roman, but they also probably want Cody as well. They're going to do the draft at some point next year, because they do it every single year. And clearly people are going between shows anyway. Randy Orton is on Raw every week. Netflix is going to get, here's the thing though. If you look at the Raw roster, Netflix is going to get Cena to start. So that's, I think, pretty big right off the jump. I think they're going to get Rock pretty early in this run as well. And then you're likely going to get Cody in some involvement as well. I think Netflix is going to be okay for those first few months before the draft, because I think they're just going to bring people over, and you can call it, you can do it with, Aldis and Pierce made a deal because, big Netflix show, and they did some swap, whatever, do whatever you want to call it. And then maybe as a return, some NXT talent is on SmackDown. I know it doesn't fully play equal, but it's pro wrestling. We're just making stuff up. NXT talent on SmackDown because, NXT was on USA. Now SmackDown's on USA. Maybe some Raw talent goes over there because everybody's over there. Like, you can make it work, but they're going to get Rock, or they're going to get Cena. Like, that's a guarantee. They're going to get Cena to start off with. They'll be all right. Here's the thing. I actually don't think to start, Netflix needs a whole lot, because it's a streaming service and you're not as worried about cable numbers and ratings and demographics and things like that. People can kind of watch when they want to watch it, whenever they want to watch it. And like, when you log on to Netflix, you will see, hey, watch WWE Raw. So I don't think they actually need as much immediate star power and weekly star power to start with. It'll get there eventually, but you're going to start off with Cena. You're probably going to have Cody involved in some way for the first month. You're probably going to have Rock involved in some way for the first couple of months. Roman might be there as part of that, but I don't think Netflix needs it as much as USA actually does with SmackDown, because I think USA needs to start off strong with SmackDown and really retain the audience, where Netflix, it's all on streaming. They're not as worried about these numbers. I think they can grow the numbers, but they've already talked about, like, the reach is already there. Yeah, they already got 80 million subscribers, whatever it is. So the reach is already there with this stuff. They want to make a big impact, obviously. They want people to talk about it, obviously. And they'll do that within the first show, the first couple of weeks. But for long term, week to week, I don't think they need it as much as USA does.
They haven't announced what the official start date is going to be, other than just January 2025 for the first Raw on Netflix.
Yeah, everyone assumes January 6th. That's the first Monday in January. But that has not been made official.
Yeah, I think it's a fair assessment. Otherwise, you're looking at the 13th, 20th, to 27th. 27th is the go home to to the Royal Rumble, because Royal Rumble is on Saturday, the February 1st. But no, it feels like, if you do the 6th, that's a pretty good 4 weeks of TV to get people interested in the Rumble, because that's going to be the big talking point in WWE world at that point. Someone had said, you have The Rock open up that episode of Raw. I feel like Cena's going to be the opening to that episode of Raw.
Yeah.
If you have The Rock, that would be a end of the night, because he's already in a storyline type of thing. Cena feels like if he shows up first night, if that's his first night back, then that's going to establish his, like, I'm entering the Royal Rumble, I'm going to win. And you start kind of putting stuff together from there. But yeah, I would have Cena open up the show.
If you have The Rock, Cody opens the show.
Yeah. And then you really do put a stamp on the fact that Cody's your guy. He is continuing to lead you and your company. That's a good point. I would definitely consider something like that. Do you want to go with your new top stars, or do you want to rely on someone like Cena to open the show? You have Cody come out, because the arena is going to be pumped for whoever that first entrance theme is. They'll be singing regardless. Of course, that's when the optometrists call.
If you have The Rock, Cody opens and Rock confronts him. If you don't have The Rock, Cena opens, and I think Cena also closes and maybe wrestles in the main event as well. I don't know if it's a singles match. I don't know if it's a tag team match. Not really sure how they decide that, but I would open with Cena and do something with that. And he also closes the show. So then you also try to keep the audience around of, oh, hey, John Cena not his last match on Netflix, because I assume he'll wrestle on another Raw in 2025. But John Cena is closing the first Raw on Netflix. Stick around to watch this. But if you have The Rock, I'd open with Cody, because then the crowd's there, the crowd's with you. That's going to be the most tune-in rate, is at the beginning of the show, I would imagine. So you open with your top guy as of now, and then he's confronted by The Rock, and then it's, now we're setting up a little bit of Rumble, but certainly WrestleMania.
Where do you think that first Raw is?
They haven't announced it, have they?
No, they have not. The
Okay.
deepest we have is, in terms of TV, is December 16th. That's the Boston Raw, where you can also assume John Cena will make an appearance at that event.
Where do they have a SmackDown date for that?
16th is as deep as it gets. Hartford, Connecticut, for the SmackDown a few days earlier.
Okay, so the 16th of December.
16th of December is as far as we got right now. LA people are kind of putting out LA as an idea.
Yeah, that would have been my thought. We know that they're in Florida, end of December for a live event.
December 28th. Nothing else is going on in that city at the same time, is there? I don't think there is. It's a holiday tour. Everyone's away. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Yeah. Buy your tickets. Ticketmaster.com. Don't go to the other website. Access has other tickets for other wrestling shows. Don't worry about those. It's not petty. That's just the way. That's just business, man. It's only petty. Honestly, it's only petty if they stack their cards so heavily that you just can't really fight it. If they bring back like The Rock versus Cena and they put that on a Florida house show, that's petty. That is petty. But no,
if they do that, they're stupid.
That's true.
It's not petty. That's just dumb.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't worry, folks. It's not the end of the world. Don't worry. The world won't end if you go to the Florida house show on the 28th of December.
Yeah, LA makes a lot of sense for that first Netflix show. I think it does.
Would you run the Intuit Dome? That giant ass dome they're about to open in LA?
When? January 6th? Right?
Yeah, I mean, potentially. We don't know for sure when that.
Right. We're theorizing.
Yeah, we're theorizing.
Let's look at the Clippers schedule, see if they got a game going on that day. All right, so the NBA.com website sucks. Hold on. January 6th, they're at Minnesota, so it would be free as far as there's no Clippers game that night. I don't know if there's something else going on there. I mean, I guess I could just go the Intuit Dome. I don't know if they book that far out is the thing.
Well, book versus announced are two different things for sure.
Right. So if we go to the Intuit Dome schedule here, let's see what they have. Event schedule. I'm sure they'll just have a bunch of friggin' Clippers games lined up. Okay, December. They don't have anything announced past December. So theoretically, it could happen because the Intuit Dome website doesn't have anything announced, and the Clippers will not be in the Intuit Dome on January 6th. So theoretically, it's a possibility.
Okay. Times of India said that the first Raw is January 6th. Everywhere else has not said that. So if the Times of India have announced it, it's happening.
John Cena said it, but he also said, "Don't quote me on that." That's where Times of India got it from.
Yeah. I see other people have picked up the John Cena quote from 14 hours ago. I guess it's from his interview at Fanatics Fest.
John Cena?
Yeah.
No, he wasn't at Fanatics Fest. He was doing like red carpet stuff for Jackpot, or promotional for Jackpot.
I see it now. Okay. I was reading like the bylines and stuff, and the headline and the lead. Anyway, cool. Yeah, people are mentioning the Sphere in Vegas. I don't think they're going to run the Sphere. That's that feels cost prohibitive for a show like Raw, for the first Raw on Netflix. Like, you can do some cool stuff, but I don't think I feel like that's a different setting. I think for the first Raw on Netflix, it's got to be a big crowd. You know what I mean? Like a big, hot, raucous Monday Night Raw crowd that people want to keep watching stuff like that every week. Sphere is cool, but it's a different kind of atmosphere.
I also think if they do the Sphere, they want to have more than just like a one-off. It feels like they want to do, hey, we're going to do SmackDown. We might do some type of PLE and we're going to do Raw all at the Sphere. That way they keep the setup and they can almost troubleshoot live through of like, hey, what kind of changes can we make from Friday to Monday? UFC is about to run the Sphere in about a month, less than actually. I'm very curious how that looked like. The NHL was at the Sphere, the NHL draft, and like that was pretty cool. I want to see what UFC looks like, and I think they might want to see what UFC looks like because obviously TKO is all together, and then maybe they can work out a little bit more. But it does feel like if they run the Sphere, it will be more than just a one-off television show. It'll be more of a day, a multi-day event.
Yeah, that would make sense to me. Someone asking why not MSG for the first Netflix Raw. You can do it. Again, it depends on how you want to present WWE to those fans. Do you want to rely on WWE? We made our home in MSG for X amount of years, and there's a history there, even though there hasn't really been a history at MSG televised. Speaking about television for the last few years, because we went to Brooklyn because we don't have to pay the unions, and it's a lot easier.
Yeah, but they've been back at MSG the past couple of years and done some big shows.
They have, yeah, they've done. I know they've done SmackDowns and Raws, but it's never been. It's not as important as it used to be. Because for a while they were making Brooklyn their second. They were their New York home.
Yeah, but they've changed that. Like they did the tribal court at MSG. That's where Heyman got put through the table.
Was that an MSG?
Yeah.
Funny.
They've made those some pretty big shows lately with MSG. They always run MSG like the day after Christmas as well. So I don't know if you're gonna go.
The Boxing Day show is always a thing for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna go back to back within basically a week of each other, of running a show there and then going back to there for Raw. But the MSG shows have been pretty big lately.
They also haven't announced the MSG show yet, but normally WWE hits Madison Square Garden in September for TV, and I don't think they are.
Well, Jason immediately rules out MSG on the 6th because the Knicks are playing that night. So there you go.
Oh, well, there you go. Doesn't matter. You never want to go there anyway. It's not fun. I've been to MSG. I love the tour. That's about it.
See, Jason learned. Look at these NBA schedules. Look at the NBA and the NHL schedule. See what buildings are free. That's what we did with the Intuit Dome.
That's true. Yeah, that's how you figure it out. They're in Brooklyn for SmackDown on October 25th. So there you go.
Okay.
Other than that, and then they're doing Hershey for Halloween Havoc and Monday Night Raw the next week. So yeah, listen, I think LA is a pretty safe bet, especially because when they did the Fox premiere, that was also that was an LA premiere, and that was a big show. They did it at Staples Center. This could be even bigger than that for them if they decide that they want to go all out. That's in 3 weeks. Different show. My bad. Do you want to talk about that now? Not all out, but the AEW and stuff. Unless there's something else from SmackDown that we need to talk about. I mean, there's the opening segment with Nia Jax was hilarious to me.
Yeah, that was peak pro wrestling right there. That ruled.
Part where she smacks a couple asses during their big dance break. Let's go.
That was great.
5, 6, 7, 8 dance break. I love that. Actually, I quite enjoyed that opening segment. I know a lot of people felt a certain way about it, but I laughed. It's good. And then Michin's going to get a title shot eventually out of this. So, okay, sure. Why not? That's a good match for Berlin. Do Nia Jax versus Michin. Or maybe they'll just run it on a SmackDown before the PLE. They've done that before. It feels like maybe it's going to be in Berlin SmackDown. Okay. Listen, SmackDown was what it was, but that's Pretty Deadly the musical. That should be an entire episode of SmackDown.
I would love that.
They're like, we're taking the week off. Everybody gets the week off. Pretty Deadly the musical, we're going to air it there. And it's a it's a 2-man show, but it's a 2-man show entirely for them. I'd like that.
Love it. No wrestling? Hell yeah.
Yeah, just singing and dancing. Well, what they consider singing and dancing.
Yeah.
AEW All In is this Sunday. I made the mistake. I said Saturday on Friday, but of course I meant Sunday. We had Collision this past week.
They did what I said they were going to do.
What everyone said they were going to do, Jeremy. Do you have 30 minutes right now to talk about a time limit draw?
Why? I don't want to talk about this match for 30 minutes.
Neither do I. But it happened, and it looks like we're going to be doing a triple threat at All In.
They announced
it is official. Yes. They're going to be doing a triple threat for the AEW Tag Team Championship. It's going to be the Acclaimed versus the Young Bucks, who are the champions, versus the FTR. FTR very hot, wanting their third AEW title run. Is this their third if they win? Who knows?
Sure.
They would win. Anyway, this is what we're doing. That's the tag titles. We can breeze by that, or we can talk about the match, or we can just get to the next segment from there.
Match was good. And the pay-per-view match will probably be fine. I don't have a whole lot of interest in it.
It's fair. I think a lot of people will feel the same way. There's a lot on this card that looks really good, and we're going to be talking about the good of this card. I just figured we would get to the top story from Collision as it pertains to matches at All In, because the real big
story, the top story from Collision is Hologram doing a leg drag.
That was wild.
They gotta go undefeated with Hologram. Undefeated streak, and then he beats MJF for the world title at All In Texas. Build this up. He's the Lucha Goldberg. He runs through opponents with a bunch of flips and stuff, and then he pins them. Crowd gets hot for him. He finally gets out of Texas, but then he returns to Texas. AEW All In Texas. Hologram, MJF's in the middle of the second reign of terror. People are sick of it. People are like, oh, fuck, this guy's the champion. This sucks. Here comes Hologram as the big undefeated luchador, and he just beats MJF. Wins the title. AEW All In Texas. That's what I would do.
Hollowberg. Golden Graham? I'd call him Golden Graham. That's the way I'd do it. Yeah, man. Hologram continues to impress. I shouldn't be surprised, and I don't think anyone should be surprised that the presentation of Hologram has been very, very well put together and very well executed, because, again, this is a character Tony Khan has had in his back pocket for 50 years. I'm not exaggerating about timing, but he's had it for a long time, and so he's getting the most out of a wrestler who put on that mask and is definitely doing a great job. And he's had good opponents. And you and I talked about this. We were wondering, what happens when Hologram doesn't get like the basiest of bases to work with. Well, it turns out he does very well and adapts very quickly to that. And the lucha style continues for him. He's having good matches. He's gonna be a hell of a star if they keep promoting him the way that they are. People are mentioning Ricochet versus Hologram, the inevitable match. Absolutely. Looking forward to something like that. Maybe they'll touch in the Casino Gauntlet match. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll keep them far apart, because that's going to be a hot match to book down the line. There's some good interest in Hologram, rightfully so. You put him in a tag match already, and that's looked good. And yeah, he just continues to impress. Why not continue that? It's good. I like it. The big match, though, the one that everyone's talking about, the announcement at All In for the Trios title.
Oh,
it's going to be a London ladders match. You got to say the whole
thing. Every time I come
That's
around,
why you might see my tweets.
London ladder fall down like London, la loo. It's falling down like London, la loo. It's falling down.
Can't believe you're stealing my tweets and airing them on the air.
I don't follow you on Twitter. I don't know what you tweeted.
I'm locked down, Jeremy, and you're stealing my tweets.
Did you tweet about the Fergie song?
Oh, you bet, because I did this quote. See, the thing about London is, how come every time you come around, my London ladders want to go down? Like London, want to go down like London, what I'm going to be like. I absolutely tweeted it.
Okay. Credit to you. I didn't see it. I just started saying it.
That's funny. Oh, anyway, yeah, they're going to do a 4-way ladder match. The big question is, who's going to be the fourth team, brother? Do you have any inclinations as to who the fourth team should be?
Cage of Agony? That's my guess.
That would actually be hilarious for that. Everyone's like, it's going to be Death Triangle. It's going to be this team. It's going to be that team. It's like, it's Cage of Agony.
My hopes aren't really that high, because they're going to announce this on a taped show, because the match is for Collision, which is going to be taped on Wednesday. So I don't feel like it's going to be this I don't feel like it's going to be like Death Triangle or anything, or like a big surprise team, because if it was going to be that, they probably would have put that on Dynamite instead of a taped episode of Collision, where most people are going to know who it is by the time it gets around to airing. on Saturday. So yeah, I would venture a guess of Cage of Agony, or maybe it's Dustin and the Von Erichs.
I was about to say it's Dustin and the Von Erichs.
Yeah.
Or like Dustin, Sammy, and some random third, because Dustin needs to be in a different trio than the one he's currently trios champions with. But he can be with the guy that he just won the ROH tag titles. So we're going to get to that. Should be Jeff Jarrett, Satnam Singh, and Raj Deji. That's the three.
That would rule, actually.
I would be down with that. Yeah. Raj Deji and Satnam Singh winning tag team gold at AAA this weekend too.
I mean, if it's Pac and the Lucha Bros, like, that's cool, and at least, you know, we get to see him one last time before they're reportedly rumor milled going to WWE. Not Pac. Like, Pac's got to get on this card, man. I assume he'll be in the Casino Gauntlet, but he looked kind of like a bitch when he's like, I want my Wembley moment. I want my Wembley shot. All right, fine. I guess I can't get it here. I'll just take it all out in Chicago. Like, dude, you're supposed to be a bastard. Like, go injure one of these dudes and take your moment for it yourself.
He said it himself. No, hold on. Wait, remember, he said it himself. He's supposed to be a bastard, but lately he's been nothing but a bitch. Those are his words.
It's just, I thought that was sort of lame that he's like, yeah, fine, I'll just have my shot at All In, and that's when I'll get it. Like, I hope he's in the Casino Gauntlet. He should be. It'd be a big misfire if he's not, when he is in the middle of the ring, like, I'm coming to Wembley, I'm taking my Wembley moment. You know, Wembley moment is now WrestleMania moment. People are very upset about this for some reason. But to just be like, never mind. Fine. I guess I can't do anything about this MJF Will Ospreay match. I guess I'll just wait until Chicago.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only way to do it. I'm wondering, would you think Miro's going to come back at All In?
All In?
Yeah, because remember last year how Miro was like, really? I need to be on the card. I need to be at Wembley. I really need to go to Wembley so bad. And then they made the concession and he came out during the show. Oh. Remember that with Miro?
No.
I don't know what's going on in his
I did like the contract signing with like Hobbs or whatever.
Yeah. Because I wonder if he's gonna find his way into the Casino Gauntlet just because it's Wembley and he wants to work Wembley.
Wouldn't bank on it.
Who knows? Yeah, here's another idea that you could have done. You could have done Pac puts his title shot on the line at All In, have a standout match, or put it on the line at All In against somebody, win the match at All In, and then get the title shot at All Out. Like, now that they've already established that Pac's not going to get the title shot at All In, then, like, why wouldn't you have him have a standout moment, put that title shot on the line?
Against who?
That's the thing. Do you find someone on the roster that makes sense or would be next in line to get a match like that? Or do you find someone from the UK indies and you make it a big deal and, you know, you have a showcase match with the title match on the line?
I do him and Oku. I assume Oku's just going to be in the Casino Gauntlet. So instead you get him and Oku as a singles match and then showcase Oku a little bit.
Yeah, I thought about saying Michael Oku, but also part of me is like, what are they going to do with Oku? What are they going to do if Michael Oku's on the card? Is he going to? I assume he's going to be at the Cardiff Dynamite just to kind of get people on TV associated with Michael Oku if you don't already know him, get on the pop, and then move it from there into All In. That's what I'd like. But
I think he's going to be in the Casino Gauntlet.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is you put him on the Dynamite so that when you put him in the Casino Gauntlet, there are a few more people who know who he is when he comes out. And I know that there's like the local pop and all that, but like, give it a little bit more. Give him a little bit more of a heads up as he gets ready for that moment.
Okay, Pac should come out at All In. He's like, I'm here. I want my Wembley moment. That's a terrible accent. But that's okay.
Yeah, that sounded really bad, and that's coming from me.
Yeah, I'm not good at accents. I'm awful at them.
I can tell.
Anyway, I want my Wembley moment. I'm a bastard. And I'm out here to challenge anybody to a really pirate Pac or something.
Yeah,
challenge whoever. And then it goes, pa-ting! One and only. And then Ricochet comes out. And they fight to a 30-minute draw. And then we get a triple threat match the following week. at AEW All Outs, or 2 weeks. Pac, Ricochet, Osprey, triple threat match at All Out. That's my booking.
That's it. That's the answer right there. We did it.
Need more draws. So everything ends in a draw.
Feel like we haven't had enough of those lately.
Yeah.
Love Wrestling just said, good morning, Joel. I just DM'd you the greatest photo of all time. I can't confirm. This is a very funny and very weird photo I've been sent.
Can you share it?
That is up to the friends that love wrestling. If I can, I would love to, because it's very funny and I want to put them over for a minute. But I'll wait until they say yes or no. So it's a very funny photo. Oh my goodness. But yeah, the card for all.
Okay, yeah, add hologram.
Yeah, oh god, yes.
And he stacks them all. There's Osprey on top of Ricochet on top of Pac. Hologram beats them all. That's what I would do.
Okay. I've been told I can share away, so I'm going to upload this photo so that everyone can see. I think it was the part where I said I was going to put them over that was the icing on the cake. So we're going to go in here. We're going to add this photo. Sorry for the audio listeners, all 12 of you. Are there more than 12? Who knows? You'll never know. Let's find out.
Some more.
Yeah, please don't. So this past weekend, and we did have...
What song should I sing, everybody?
None of them. So this past weekend, Spenny and the gang over at Love Pro Wrestling had a wonderful event at the West Edmonton Mall. This was a huge show. Actually looked really great too from all the photos I saw. The West Edmonton Brawl. The photo that I just received from them was from the event. I'm just going to let you guys take a look at it. Here it is. My God. That is a moment right there. Rob Van Dam with the Voros twins.
Do you think he had any idea who they were?
You think when he got clued in, he's like, oh yeah, I remember you guys, man. Yeah, that stuff was great. This is a hell of a match. Like, look at the shorts. Like, can you get any shorter? Sorry. Dude, that is a hell of a photo. Shout out to the Love Pro Wrestling crew.
That's an amazing.
Like, what the hell?
That's an amazing photo.
It is, man. Shout out to Love Pro Wrestling. They did something so cool putting on that show, and it looks like they not only had a blast doing it, that it was also successful. And I hope that opens more and more doors.
Do you think RVD is like? There's two of you. Fuck.
Stone RVD. I'm seeing double 4 Voros twins. You think the concept?
They should be the mystery trios team.
They should.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that would rule.
RVD and the Voros twins take on London. Oh my God. Maybe the mystery trios team is the learning tree.
No, that's
Jericho, fair. Big Bill, and have Jericho pull double duty that night. Why not? No, RVD and Voros twins as a trios team. Can we just pitch that right now officially, Tony Khan? If you're looking for something, listen. I know you're trying to restack all of your divisions, but if I can give you one division that you can stack, don't worry about the Outrunners anymore. Don't worry about any of the teams that
Outrunners rule.
No, that's fine. But I'm giving you this. If you can have one trios team that will absolutely just fix your entire division, it's the Voros twins and RVD. Like, I don't even know what you'd call them. You call them the RVD, but the V is Voros. Rob Voros Dam. We'll workshop it a little bit. The RVD? I'm not stopping. I think this is absolutely where things should go. That is where AEW should be taking their talent to the future. People are sold on it. They think it's the best. True Buds is a great name for that tag team. Rob Van Davinky.
Oh, that's good.
That's it right there.
Good.
And it's coming from the crew themselves. So this is it. Rob Van Davinky. Tony Khan, we have fixed your trios division with those 3 men right there. Rob Van Davinky. Meanwhile, Dustin Rhodes won another championship this past Saturday.
Yeah, people got mad about this.
They did. They got mad at Kate, which is honestly understandable. I get mad at Kate on an hourly basis. She gets angry messages from me frequently. All platforms, by the way. All platforms. Doesn't matter if it's a text message, a DM, Instagram, a comment. It doesn't matter. TikTok, doesn't matter. She gets it from me at all angles because that's what she deserves. We have new Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara are besties now because they won gold. Everybody trusts Sammy for now. And there it is. New ROH Tag Champs. Yeah, it happened. I don't cover Ring of Honor, so for me, it was just a laugh. But really, what I want to talk about, Jeremy, is the fact that a few weeks ago on this show, we started talking about the presentation and how you would maybe string the television product together. We talked about Dynamite being a 2-hour show and Rampage being that 3rd-hour connector to Dynamite. And how the idea that I pitched that you were kind of hot and cold on was Ring of Honor being kind of a feeder to Collision, where you had all of your developmental happening on Ring of Honor, and then some of your top Ring of Honor performers and tag titles and main titles were defended on a show like Collision. So you're kind of feeding both shows, and it worked for now because they've been doing the Dallas what's the word? Residency. Yes, they lived in Dallas for the last month, so it looks like they were kind of starting to do that. I don't know if it's something they want to keep doing now that Collision's going to start being, presented on the road again. But yeah, your thoughts on Dustin winning the tag titles and whatever we're doing with Ring of Honor at this point.
I mean, I'm not upset about it, but I understand people who really follow and cover ROH are like, what was the point of building up these tag teams and these tag feuds if you're just going to put the title on Dustin and Sammy, who just got together 2 weeks ago, and you're going to end the Undisputed Kingdom reign with somebody who is already a champion. No knock on Dustin Rhodes, but he's already got a title, so does he need another one? And then Sammy, who has been given a lot of opportunities and a lot of chances, and now here's another one where he's going to get these ROH tag team titles. I think it doesn't send the best message in the world. They're doing like more title matches on ROH TV, but the titles aren't changing hands there. I think somebody had a stat, and I apologize, I can't remember. I think it was Kyle.
It's Kyle Sparks, yeah.
Yeah. He had it where like they've done all these matches on ROH Twitter, on ROH TV, and none of the titles ever change. Like, it just feels like they're just doing title matches. Like, see, we're giving you title matches on ROH TV, but then they don't actually mean anything. It's like, you still got to watch AEW if you want to see the meaningful ROH stuff. And that's sort of what it feels like. And that's sort of what this felt like is, all right, we gave you title matches on ROH TV, but if you actually want to see like titles mean something and titles change hands, watch AEW Collision. Once they get back on the road, I want to see how that looks, because I don't know if it's gonna. It feels like it's just gonna go back to how it was, and I don't know if that's, certainly the ROH people didn't like that, but it just feels like that's where it's gonna end up. Is, all right, we're gonna kind of just do short squash matches with the local talent that we have, and then some just kind of not fleshed out stories and matches through the rest of the card, and then tune into AEW to see the important stuff.
From Kyle K. Sparks said the first Ring of Honor on ROH on Honor Club aired March 2nd, 2023. Since then, I count a total of 17 title changes among ROH's 7 titles, including awarding vacant titles. Of them, 8 happened on AEW free TV, 7 on ROH pay-per-view, 1 on AEW pay-per-view, and 1 elsewhere at CMLL. There hasn't been a lot of focus on Ring of Honor, on the Ring of Honor show.
Yeah, they do the title matches, but they're just kind of throwaway title matches.
More Battle of the Belts, baby. Oh, but here we are. I mean, I don't know what to tell you when it comes to this. Again, ROH isn't my beat because I do other things on Thursday nights. But the other thing,
I watch ROH. It's not something I sit down and think deeply about, because there ain't a whole lot to sit down and think deeply about.
You mean 3-minute squash matches are not currently at the forefront of your mind every time of the day?
I mean, there's like the women's stuff is still very good. When Athena's on, that's stuff to pay attention to. When Billy's on, that's stuff to pay attention to. Otherwise, it's just, all right, here's a match, and you could probably tell you who's going to win this match.
And typically, it's the person you'd least expect, right?
Sure.
Anyway, and finally, yeah, people are saying last month of ROH has been good, and that's true. You look at the post shows; they've been pretty happy. Look at where they're at now, and the tag title match made some people unhappy.
They've done bigger matches. It's been good, and it's been good because they've done bigger matches, but the payoff is where people are going to be upset about, and that's what the people were upset about, where the payoff for the tag team title stuff that they were doing was just Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara on Collision, not even on ROH. Mark Briscoe's defending his title on ROH TV, which is nice, but he's facing like Johnny TV, which, okay. And then Beast Mortos, where that was set up because Beast Mortos pinned him on AEW television. So like it's been better. If you want to say it's good, fine. I think it's good because they're doing bigger matches and it's not just fully squash matches. But the outcome is still largely the same on this stuff. It's still, okay, the champions are wrestling, the matches are a little bit better, they feel bigger, but nothing of substance or consequence really happens still.
Yeah. Nothing else to add there. Eddie Kingston. You want to talk about Eddie? I know
he called Bryan Danielson a little bitch.
He's gaslighting Eddie, Bryan Danielson into becoming the American Dragon again, and not the little engine that could. This is a really good promo. Not only that, I need Eddie Kingston to never trim that beard he's got going on. He looks haggard in like the best way possible. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in Eddie Kingston looks so upset about his current situation, but he's recovering. And when he comes back, he can either change it or he could just be a miserable prick. And that's kind of what I want. I want Eddie to come back as a more miserable prick than ever. But this was a good segment from him. This was first time we've heard from him in months. And I think they did a really good job of just kind of not even merging him into traffic, because he's not back yet. He's still got the crutches, at least.
He's going to be a while.
Yeah, he's got a while, but they did a good job of at least reminding us he's still around, he's still important, and he's played a part into the Bryan Danielson story. The little engine that could.
Yeah, it was good. It's Bryan Danielson, or it was Eddie Kingston. It was great.
You're supposed to say nice things about Eddie Kingston.
It was a good promo. He called Bryan Danielson a bitch, and Bryan's probably going to get fired up off of it. Hopefully, maybe. I don't know. Like, it was good, but Eddie Kingston's not returning anytime soon, so that sucks.
What if he comes back at All In London? He's actually totally fine.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Bryan. Everyone's costing Bryan this match. No one's costing Swerve except for maybe one guy.
You know what actually stood out to me on Collision is the Will Ospreay video package. They did a good job explaining like the Tiger Driver and like why it's a deadly move and everything. Here's my issue with it. One, Danielson took the safest fucking Tiger Driver in the world. And when you watch that video package, you see just how safe he took that thing compared to Kenny, who like legitimately got dropped on his head and neck. Danielson landed like shoulders first. It didn't look like it hurt at all. But, they sold it the way they sold it. I thought Ospreay did a good job of selling it. Then he goes on Twitter and he's like, my opponent can't protect themselves when I do this move. And I'm like, all right, so isn't the goal to win these matches and hurt your opponent to the point where they can't kick out? Like, why are you doing moves where the opponent is supposed to protect themselves? It just, like, I get the story they're going for. I get it. I promise you I do. I'm not dumb sometimes.
Not to this.
But it feels like they're trying too hard with this. It just feels like they're trying to make it something that it doesn't need to be. And they're leaning so much into it. When if they honestly were just a bit more subtle about it, it'd probably be better. But they're not subtle about this at all. Like when Will Ospreay, after an hour-long match, is holding Danielson up in the air, or not Danielson, sorry, MJF up in the air, despite like a bad arm, he's so conflicted of doing this move. It's like you have a Stormbreaker to do out of this. Like if you're that worried about doing this move at injury, just do the damn Stormbreaker. It's the friggin' why am I so violent? Look at my hands nonsense that NXT was doing for so long. It also doesn't help that just like Queen Aminata does this on an ROH show to Athena and can't beat anybody with it. Like, tell your wrestlers no one's allowed to do this while we're telling this story. Because if you do it and you can't win with it, the move loses effectiveness. I know they don't always like to think of that of, oh, well, this super kick is more deadly because they have it perfected and everything. Like Ospreay didn't beat Kenny with the Tiger Driver. He didn't beat Danielson with the Tiger. He still hit like the hidden blade afterwards. They really gotta, I think they gotta do a segment on Dynamite or Collision with Ospreay and Danielson. I think it would go a long, long way. Because again, my biggest issue with this whole thing has been Danielson just came back in like 2 weeks and is doing Anarchy in the Arena. And they've done a good job of of just saying like, oh, well, you know, this move means Danielson needs surgery. Like it's a reason why he needs surgery. So like they've added some importance and value to the move there. But I think they got to go further with it. And I think they got to, because obviously, I don't say obviously, but it seems like Ospreay, he's conflicted and blah, blah, blah. And then he will do the move at All In and he'll win the title at All In. And it'll be over it. This is why I think a Danielson Ospreay greeting backstage or something would go a long way of just Danielson being like, yeah, the move sucked. The move hurt. You did what you needed to do to try to win the match. That's what we're supposed to do out there. It's not why I need surgery. I know that like lessens the impact of the move and the story they've been telling and stuff. But again, they've already lessened the impact just by having the fact that Danielson was back in 2 weeks doing Anarchy in the Arena is now is about to challenge for the world title. Danielson saying like, yeah, I need surgery on my neck. That's from years and years of abuse. It's not all your fault. Like Danielson basically has to forgive him.
He has to absolve him. Yeah. He has to absolve him and basically explain to him, you're cool. It ain't your fault, brother.
Yeah. Like it's not you. Like MJF, he's a piece of shit. He's gonna do the move. He's not going to hesitate to do this move. So you shouldn't hesitate. Go out there. And if you hurt him, tough shit. That's wrestling. You need to win this match. You need to take back that title. You need to make that title mean something again. And then Ospreay's like, all right, yeah, it fires up Ospreay a little bit. I think it would just go a long way in the story that they're trying to tell. Because if it's just, oh, I'm conflicted, I don't want to use this move, look what it has done to Bryan Danielson. And then he just like hits the move anyway of like, well, yeah, MJF was a piece of shit and that's why I used it and I didn't have any remorse. Like, okay, but do you still feel bad with the Danielson stuff? Like a little thing with Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay would go a long way in this story that they're trying to tell. Because right now, the story that they're trying to tell, it makes sense. It's just not that good.
Danielson just walking in and saying, it's not you, it's me. Go do the move. Go do the move. That'll do, Will. That'll do. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So A-Shock saying reasoning why Aminata has no fear of using that move. Yeah, but if like somebody else uses the move and it doesn't beat anybody and it doesn't paralyze them, then who gives a fuck if Will Ospreay uses it? Like Queen Aminata having the no fear of using it, but still using it shows it ain't all that dangerous. So it's really just Ospreay being a big ass bitch and not using it in this sense of like, oh, I don't want to use it because it hurt Bryan Danielson, even though again, he came back 2 weeks later and wrestled Anarchy in the Arena and is now challenging for the title. it does lessen the impact of the move if other people just do it. Oh, they don't have the fear of it. But if people do it and it doesn't hurt anybody, well, it's like, well, yeah, you shouldn't have a fear of it. Now Ospreay just looks like a giant pussy for not doing it. I don't think that's what they're trying to go with. Like, I know he's trying to be remorseful. He's not trying to be a bitch.
Right. It's just not presented in the way that has been effective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of effective, last couple of things before we give our Raw preview. Jericho and Stokely in their backstage segments broke their counterparts. And I need to reference that. Jericho with his yellow jacket, and at the end he just adds in randomly. He's like, "Do you like my yellow jacket?" And Renee's just like, "It's very yellow," and he just does the Jericho thing, and Renee's trying so hard not to break. But Stokely got Chris, and this was very funny.
Him barking.
So funny, so stupid. He's like half barking, half crying. It's perfect. And like, I expect, first of all, God bless Tomohiro Ishii. He got himself a match on a big time card. And he's in the 0 hour, but he's still, it's still part of the show. He's still there. He's going all the way to London. He's going to get a good, good pop, but he doesn't have to do much in this match. Because as far as I know, it's going to be women versus men, women and men versus men. I don't think they're going to do much, crossing over, unless Chris and Tomohiro will like do a couple of spots, or Willow's going to go after Stokely and maybe like throw him at one point. But otherwise, it's going to be mostly just the women and the men versus the men. And like Ishii is just, he's just got to throw around Stokely once or twice. But the finishes, I assume, it could not be, but I assume Chris and Stat are going to. Chris and Willow are going to be part of the finish, unless they do something where Ishii gets laid out and Stokely gets the pin.
No.
You think that Willow gets to make the stipulation for the match at All Out?
Yeah. I think Ishii pins Stokely. I do think Stat is going to slam Ishii or something like that. I do think they'll do some type of spot between Stat and Ishii. No, I wouldn't pin. Why would you pin Stat or Willow when they're about to face each other in 2 weeks for the title? That would be dumb to have one pin the other.
She beat the
especially
champ
if Stokely
again.
is right
there. She beat the champ again. Oh my God.
Because it's already
it's the CMLL champion. Like it's the CMLL Women's Championship.
They're not sure. It's less about the title that's on the line and more about like, why are you going to have either of them take a pinfall 2 weeks when they're supposed to face each other? Like, why are you going to have one already just beat the other? It's like, hey, I just beat you in this tag team match. I already beat you in a singles match. Here's another singles match. Like, it doesn't. I think Ishii pins Stokely. Willow gets to pick the stipulation, and all she's going to pick is a street fight because street fights.
A Chicago street fight?
Yeah, sure. I mean, they're in Chicago, so sure.
What if it's last woman standing?
Maybe. I hate that stipulation, but I mean, maybe that's what they do.
It's going to be a lot of stipulation matches at All Out.
You think so?
There's definitely at least going to be 2 of them. So there could be more. It is a 15-match card traditionally, so maybe there won't be as many, but I feel like there will be others. Listen, people were talking about the fact that out of the last 4 pay-per-views for AEW, there's been some sort of ladder match. Like there's been 3 out of 4 of the last have had a ladder match of some sorts.
Like regular Shawn ass Michaels over here with these ladder matches.
Who's cooking who?
Has there really been that many ladder matches?
I think someone made reference to that. And
there was one at Dynasty. They did Young Bucks at Dynasty.
There was one at Forbidden Door for the TNT title, which was vacant.
Oh, yeah, there was. So Double or Nothing didn't have one.
Didn't have.
And then All In
was the Ring of Honor?
What?
I don't know if Ring of Honor counts. I don't think they did a ladder match Ring of Honor.
No, I'm not counting Ring of Honor.
And also, I'm thinking that was the Layla Hirsch match. That was just a hardcore match.
I'm not counting that anyway. So yeah. Oh, I forgot the ladder match at Forbidden Door. And so it would be 3 out of 4.
Hey man, that's the decision. I'd probably lay off the ladder matches for a little while.
I would be cool if we didn't have another ladder match in any wrestling company for like a year at the very least. Like,
listen, it's giving TNA Ultimate X vibes last year, where it was like, oh, big event, bring it back Ultimate X. Oh, 20th anniversary, bring it back Ultimate X. Oh, got a big show, bring back Ultimate X. Let's cool it on that one. I'd be down with that.
This sounds fucking horrible, Luis. Why
10
would we
matches
do
for all.
Conglomeration and Undisputed Era and a Stadium Stampede match? One, it's only like 3 people anyway. Ishii's in the 0 hour match. Orange
Kyle
Cassidy's
O'Reilly.
in the gauntlet.
I assume Kyle O'Reilly's also going to be part of the gauntlet because
I assume Roderick Strong is too,
Roddy
because they
Strong's
competed in that match.
David and Bennett are big old losers,
Yeah.
losing to old men.
If I had my trash can, I would put that idea in the trash.
You got to go get a new trash can, bro. Bro.
That's a terrible idea. Undisputed Era against Conglomeration in a friggin' Stadium Stampede match. Sounds awful.
Oh man. Monday Night Raw preview.
Sure.
Hey, that's why that's leave the overbooked stuff to us, not the Stadium Stampede. We are the overbooked. Leave a thumbs up on the video on our way out. New Day it's New Day and Odyssey Jones. He's not officially in the New Day yet.
Odyssey.
They're gonna take on Karrion Kross and the AOP in a match that I'm sure is, they do TikTok videos. They TikTok a lot on TV.
Oh, Kofi calling him the final testicles was good.
That was very funny. Is that the name? Is that the name of the group? Final Testicles?
That should be the group name. Final Testicles. That's what we're gonna call them. Yeah, Louis, stick to AAA Mania and watching that terrible.
Yeah, don't even. You know what? I can't even say yes, you got cooked, but also your brain got cooked having to watch Triple Mania. Yeah. I'm sorry you had to sit through that and recap it for the website. Bless you for doing that.
Yeah, in fairness to Luis, he did have to watch that show, and he did like multiple articles on that show. So like he's not working at his best right now.
No, we love Luis, especially
Conan booking in his system. Conan's gonna be part of that match if Conan was booking it. Like, let me tell you, it would be great for Undisputed Kingdom against Conglomeration Stadium Stampede. I come out and it's a big swerve. Guys, I align. I'm the new devil. I'm the new Adam Cole.
Remember when I was part of a Stadium Stampede, guys? Remember? I was the guy giving drinks to LAX. Remember? Come on, callbacks. We're doing callbacks. And everyone in the room is just like, go home. That would
be Conan's Friday.
Who let you in, Conan?
We're gonna forgive Luis. We're gonna forgive him for this, but that was a god awful idea.
You think when Tony Khan and Conan met, Tony Khan walked into the room and said, "K-Dog, how you doing?" Do you think Conan introduced himself as K-Dog?
Nah, Conan was like, "Conan, nice to meet you. Do you watch my podcast? Do you listen to my podcast?"
I know you tried that one on Jensen and he did not.
No.
I heard it. I was like, I know exactly what this is. We spent way too much time around each other.
Luis has 100% gotten the DM from Conan of, do you watch my podcast? Do you listen to my podcast?
I got it years ago and I was like, I've made it. I have made it. He doesn't follow me, but he sure as shit DMs me about it.
Bro, do you listen to my podcast?
Bro, do you listen to my podcast? Do you think it's him sending it out or someone else?
Oh, he definitely sends it.
I got a layover in this town. I got plenty of time to kill. Dude, it's just copy paste. He's not even doing it from his phone. He's doing it from like his computer. He did get the DM, said Luis.
Everyone's gotten that damn DM.
Oh, the women's tag team championships are on the line. The Unholy Union take on Damage Control and Pure Fusion Collective. The Warhammer girls.
Sounds terrible.
It does. I assume this goes to a no contest so we can go to Berlin. No, I don't know.
Are they doing a tag team? They're doing the six woman match on SmackDown.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that next week they're in DC. Like they're not even, the Berlin show is in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, the tag match, they're going to do that in Berlin. I was like, no, it's next week in DC. Okay.
I think the Pure Fusion Collective is going to win tonight.
Really, eh?
Yeah. I think they're going to get the titles off of Fire and Dawn, so it's not hanging over the Cargill Bianca stuff anymore. Because they don't want to beat Cargill and Bianca for obvious reasons, but you can only do, hey, they're going after the tag titles again, and then not have a finish or beat them or just have them or put the titles back on them so many times. And I don't think they want to put the titles back on them yet. I don't think they want to beat them again. And again, they can only do, hey, we're going to do some screwy finish out of this. So I think they're going to Pure Fusion Collective wins, holds them for, I don't know, a month, defends them maybe once, and then they move on from there. Maybe Damage Control wins. I think that Fire and Dawn lose tonight. That's my prediction.
Damage Control is in such a weird situation right now because Asuka is out injured and Dakota Kai is out injured for 2 different lengths of time, no less. It's really just Sky Pirates. It's just Sane and Io for now, unless they start adding people again. Bozilla, come on over. She's the only one I want in Damage Control.
Poor Io is like, Damage Control's got to change, and it's like, well, shit. Here's your changes. Everybody's hurt.
Yeah, here's your monkey paw. Enjoy. Yeah. Sheamus versus Pete Dunne. That's going to be a fun match. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully, it has a clean finish. I don't think anyone messes with Pete Dunne until tomorrow night on NXT in that triple threat. But we'll see. I'm sure we'll be talking about that on Wednesday.
I'd have Pete Dunne win.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, going into the match on Tuesday, it makes it's momentum thing. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like Sheamus can lose and be okay. I'd have him cheat. Use the shillelagh because he did that before. Like I'd have Pete Dunne win though. I don't like beating somebody and then you're gonna put him on NXT the next night. It's like, oh, he's fighting for a number 1 contender match to get a shot at the NXT title. It's like, all right, well, he just lost to Sheamus, so how great is he? But if it cheats to win, it protects Sheamus a little bit. It gives Pete Dunne a victory. I'd have Pete Dunne win this match.
Yeah, and also, I mean, he's gonna get beat up during that match on Tuesday anyway. So
I don't think he's gonna win that, but there's no point in just beating him beforehand.
Yeah,
it builds because then he can beat Sheamus again, cheat, and be like, oh, by the way, Pete Dunne tomorrow night NXT, go watch him. He's gonna face Wesley and Joe Hendry for a shot for the NXT championship. So it's just smart threading and advertising.
And they're in Florida. They're still in Florida. They're in Sunrise. So you want to talk Joe Hendry, you should probably say his name.
Ooh, do you think Joe Hendry shows up tonight on Raw?
I don't think so. If it may be in the crowd, maybe.
Well, yeah, that's what they did on SmackDown. It's like, here's Roxanne Perez, and here's Ethan Page, and here's Trick Williams.
They were in Orlando. They were basically in NXT's backyard. They do that every time they do that now, where they're just like, hey, look at all the NXT stars. They come up for the Florida events because we let them out of we let them out early for once. But yeah, I don't know.
That would be, you know what though? If you did, Pete Dunne beats Sheamus tonight. He used the shillelagh, beats him, and then Joe Hendry appears. But then Wesley attacks Pete Dunne. Build a little something on Raw for the match tomorrow night. Who's this hurting?
So yes, I agree with you. It's also just this weird, this triple threat match is literally about everybody else's opponents right now. And it's like Joe Hendry is the only one that makes sense to eventually get screwed in the PLE, because otherwise Pete Dunne has something with Trick. Trick was on SmackDown. He appeared. And then you've got Wesley. Wesley's got a thing with Zachary Wentz. They've got a match announced for No Mercy. Don't they?
Well, it's not announced, but it's not announced.
It's basically strongly. Yeah, it's been strongly hinted at by Wesley of all people. So it feels like Wentz is going to get involved. It feels like Trick is going to get involved, and that's going to take out 2 of the people. And then Joe Hendry gets the win, gets the big PLE main event. And it feels like Joe Hendry is going to get, I mentioned this on Friday. It feels like Joe Hendry is going to get screwed out of the title by new TNA champion by that point, Josh Alexander. Nemeth dropped that other title we talked about. So here you go. Could be the start of something for him.
Right. But what does this have to do with getting all 3 of these guys on Raw tonight and then having them appear to build this match tomorrow?
You're right. You could do that. It feels like you're getting a lot of, I don't know. It makes sense, but to me it doesn't, only because of the way that the rest of the feuds are operating with those 3 guys. That's all I'm saying.
But you can still do all that on NXT.
You can. It all feels like it's overbooked for overbooked sake. I know that's the channel, because you're overbooking something to do a fight at the end of this match versus Sheamus, and then you're overbooking whatever's going to be that triple threat potentially tomorrow night. I'd rather just have Peter Dunne win and be, moving on Tuesday.
I think it's good synergy if you put Wesley doing an attack, or fine, don't do an attack.
Ringside, just put them each at ringside on either side, looking on.
Yeah, don't do an attack. Wesley can be at ringside. I would do a Joe Hendry entrance though. I would do on Raw a Joe Hendry entrance. See how that plays in a bigger venue. Maybe it misses, but see how it plays.
Yeah, my brain is thinking about how that looks. But I mean, if anyone's going to get into it, it's Florida. They already are. They're familiar with them. So who knows? Maybe that'll be it. But give them the entrance and then have them sit at ringside and then just do nothing. Just give them that entrance just as a heat check. CM Punk, speaking of heat checks, going to deliver a quote unquote can't miss message to Drew McIntyre. Is he going to is it going to be a story time with CM Punk, baby? Like, what are we talking about here?
All he's got to do, just call him an empty-headed dumb fuck. That's all I want.
Takes a box of muffins out to the ring, sits down in the middle. Last time I was in Florida, not a good time.
That's all I want. Just call him an empty-headed dumb fuck and just go from there.
Randy Orton will appear as well. I'm sure Gunther will get some modicum of revenge for last week. And Ivy Nile takes on Maxine Dupree in what I'm sure will be completely devoid of any people getting involved. I'm sure no one will show up.
I think the Wyatts are going to be targeting old Ivy here for being a jerk to young Maxine.
Poor Maxine. But not poor us, because we'll be back on Wednesday. Jeremy Lambert, anything to promote?
The SpongeBob Show is Friday, August 23rd in Spencer, Indiana. I'm going to be there.
Yes, you will.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm very afraid of what Cole Radrick has booked for me.
Well, unfortunately, one person who will not be saving you at the show is Billy Starks.
Yeah, I saw that. She got pulled from a recent show. I think it was Limitless due to injury. Yeah. Well, maybe she is still injured. I don't know.
Well, sending our best to Billy. Hopefully she's okay. Jay Lucas is going to enter the Smitty in response, in replacement of Billy. But maybe Jay will help you out. Maybe not. Who knows? It's only a table away. I mean, a phone call away.
I'm a little afraid from all.
You shouldn't be. I should make a call to the Ratty Daddy. Have him come and join us soon. How about that?
He was on Spotlight on Thursday. It was good to see him. Good to talk to him.
Yeah, it sounds like he's doing okay. Sounds like he's got his eyes. He's focused, is what I'm getting at. He's focused on his return.
AEW has uploaded the All In London 2023 mini documentary. You think we get any backstage footage on this thing?
Only if we're lucky. They should do a backstage oh god, it's gonna be the Bucks match. They're gonna, because it's so fucking meta. It's 2 hours in. I can drop an F-bomb. They'll do a backstage moment with the Bucks. Like during the match, they'll go backstage and they'll do black and white security camera footage of the Bucks fighting somebody. Yeah, they will. They can't help themselves with the silly meta shit sometimes.
No.
We'll see. Anyway, back on Wednesday. Is that the plan?
Allegedly.
All right. Well, for Jeremy Lambert, I am Actual Pearl. JOELPEARL. Ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, enjoy the rest of your Monday and your Tuesday. Enjoy Raw. Go watch the Danielson interview that Sean did over on the main channel. All right. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.